Good morning and namaste. This is Moti Tiwari, class 10 social studies teacher. I am present here with unit 4 lesson 2 domestic violence and untouchability as today's lesson. First of all, it is good to know what is violence. Violence is any unwanted, undesired, unexpected, illegal activities against anyone that harms or hurts others. Let's see some of its components. As our lesson is related to domestic violence, we should better understand what is domestic violence. Violence in a domestic setting, the violence that takes place in domestic arena by intimate partner or by other members in the family. Violence that takes by the intimate partners or other members in the family may be husband, wife, or in-laws with the same sex or different sex. It is not necessary that violence takes within the same sex, it takes same or different sex, male to female, is most often seen or experienced violence in our context. Between former spouses, sometimes violence takes place between former spouses, former husband or wife, or partners. It also includes against children, partners, or some elderly members of the family. Now let's define the term. What is domestic violence then? Now it is time for you to understand what is domestic violence. Any violent and unlawful behavior like battering, mistreatment, threatening, coercing, etc. to the family members within the home is meant by domestic violence, or it also can be termed as family violence or domestic abuse. Let's see some more things associated with domestic violence. First, mostly the victims are women. It is the context not only of Nepal but of whole the world. It is found mostly the victims are women. It is because everywhere in the past societies were patriarchal. Women were marginalized and suppressed. So till date, they are found to be the victim of domestic violence. Countries' level of gender equality and rates of domestic violence are correlated. In simple word, if the gender equality level in a certain country is higher, the domestic violence is low. If the level of gender equality is lower, the domestic violence is more. So correlated. Most of the cases are not reported. Underreported cases are there. Cases are not reported to the authority, mostly to the police. Abuses range from one place to another. The abuse has different range in different places. Awareness, perception, definition, and documentation regarding domestic violence differs widely from country to country. Every country do not have the same perception, same way of documentation, same way to define it, to understand it, same level of awareness is not found regarding domestic violence. Now, let us see different forms of domestic violence. Now, you may have the question, what sort of domestic violence are there in the world? What sort of violence are there in our society? You can see on the TV screen physical violence, verbal violence, emotional violence, economic violence, religious violence, reproductive violence, or you can say sexual violence. It is better to understand what different types of violence mean. Physical violence is physical assault, maybe beating or physically hurting somebody, giving physical pain. And verbal one is abusive. Verbal domestic violence is related to battering or scolding or using abusive word, unwanted word, the word which is not expected from the other members of the family, which hurts them, which gives them the torture, pain, mental discomfort, then we can call it as verbal one. Emotional, it is the act or the behavior that hurts the family members emotionally, as it attacks their emotion, then we can talk it as emotional domestic violence. The next one comes is economic. Economically, to make any member deprive of economic benefits. For example, if some families are rich, but the family members, certain family members are not getting the proper privilege or benefit which is supposed to get as the member of that particular family, then we can talk it as economic violence, deprived of economic benefits. And religious violence, to hurt somebody in the family members on the basis of the religion. Maybe somebody's religious faith is different from the other members of the family. Mostly in these cases, the family members may face the religious domestic violence. And the next one is reproductive. Reproductive, as you understand, related to reproduction. Reproduction includes the sexual activities, pregnancy and care during pregnancy, delivery, prenatal and neonatal birth, their care, these all things, health, especially the health of women here, uterus prolapse and breast cancer, breastfeeding, child caring, the mother's right to care the children, love the children, these sort of things, if are hurt or curtailed by someone in the family, then we can associate such violence as reproductive or sexual violence. Let us see here some pictures are there, two pictures. You can see one is acid attack and next one is beating. A female is being beaten there in the picture, acid attack, and we are seeing here some examples of domestic violence. What are mostly found domestic violence in the society? First one I have written here, marital rape. Having sexual relationship without consent or approval of the female wife. It can be understood as marital rape. Scolding, beating, choking, female genital mutilation, acid throwing, stoning, killing someone by throwing a stone. In the old age, it was quite practiced. Bride burning, honor killing. This honor killing may be new for you. In some of the religions, if a female is found to be guilty in some of the activities as per their religious rule, the females are killed. This is called honor killing. Especially it is found in Muslim community. If a girl before her marriage is pregnant, she is killed in some of the society. Still today, this sort of killing is called honor killing. Dowry deaths, killing the females in the name of dowry, forced marriage, forced abortion, foot binding. Foot binding is the culture mostly in China. Females are victim of this violence in the family because their small feet are preferred in the society. Their small feet are said to be beautiful. So, by force, foot binding is done by the family members, and it is really terrible, really painful and inhuman. And forced pregnancy without consent, making somebody pregnant, maybe in the family, without consent of the wife, pregnancy. Now, you see here domestic violence. The picture says in different color you can see domestic violence law is wholly adequate. The first color is quite good for us because there is very less events of domestic violence. The second one, domestic violence law, is mostly adequate. Laws are enough, quite enough, enough. Some problems with the laws, third one. Fourth one, law are seriously lacking, fourth one. And the fifth one, no law at all, and the fifth one, no data. You can see how is the domestic violence scenario in the world. Especially you can see in Asian countries, domestic violence law has some deficiencies. And some nations in Africa, no law, it is said. This is the situation of the world. Now, let us see causes of domestic violence. What causes domestic violence? Forced or child marriage, forced marriage or child marriage, or maybe unmatched marriage. You can even add unmatched marriage. Tensions in family relation, no good smooth relation in the family, among the family members, causes domestic violence. Cultural acceptance, beating wife, scolding them, and then train them through such harsh behavior is accepted pattern of behavior in some society. Fear is dominating the other members of the family, so the victims will be the females finally. Same, sometimes the poverty is the cause, illiteracy, alcoholism, addiction. You see, alcoholism, addiction have the nature that the people's mind cannot function well because of the alcohol, because of the effect of the drugs, stimulating effect. Issues of dowry, poor implementation of the laws regarding domestic violence, having no property right to the women, illicit relationship, illegal relationship, immoral relationship of husband to the other ladies. She definitely complains and the husband is against her. Physical assault is there. Male dominance through social customs. Domination of the male in our society, it means patriarchal nature of society, and abuser believes that abuse is an entitlement, is acceptable, is justifiable, or is not likely to be reported. So taking advantage of those things, domestic violence are, the cases of domestic violence are being caused in our society. Now we will see effects of domestic violence. What's next if domestic violence takes place? You know, half of the earth and the sky, half of the earth and the heaven is covered with female. As such, if half of the population are likely to be victimized by such violence, then what may happen to the society? We are going to see them. Reproductive health problem will be there. Depression may occur among the victims. Fear, tension, terror, decreases eagerness, enthusiasm, and excitement to do anything in their life, chances to get involved in drug abuse, or may not be functioning well, not being able to do the things rightly, maybe the victim of drug again, chance to commit suicide, in depression, causes family misunderstandings, breakup in relationship, especially among the family members. It causes the loss of family prestige in the society. It reduces the dignity and value of the society. The more the violence, the less dignified the society is. It creates negative impact on senior citizens and children. When children will see this, when they grow in such situation, definitely there will be some psychological problem in their rearing. Now let's see the measures to control domestic violence. Does it have any measure? Can we control domestic violence? If yes, what are the measures? How can we control them? Here comes some points before you. Formulation of strong laws and implement them strongly. Also, implement international laws like CEDAW, DDAW, BDPA, DEVAW. These are some international conventions on what Nepal is a signatory nation. The provision in those conventions are to be fulfilled here in the domestic setting. It is obligation for our government. So this implementation will reduce domestic violence. Implementation of Domestic Violence Act 2009. It is our act, Nepalese Act. We have got Domestic Violence Act. Create awareness against domestic violence. Avoid greed of property, like dowry deaths is the violence because of the greed for property. Such things are to be avoided. Guarantee property right to women. Promote gender equality. Maintain unity against domestic violence. Be civilized and maintain discipline. Oppose domestic violence collectively. Inform the cases to the concerned authority as soon as it possible. Now let's see untouchability. Traditional concept. It is the residue of feudal culture, since Nepalese society is still have some ruins, remains of such culture. Exploitation against so-called low-caste people, discrimination against some caste, restriction in the relation and in different things like using public places, not allowing to enter into the temple, not touching the taps, not touching the water or the food, not allowing them to enter into the so-called high caste people's house, these sort of things. The evil practice in Nepalese society, in which some people that belong to so-called low caste are prohibited to get touched by the people of some caste, not allowed to enter into temples, houses, etc., or use the public places, is meant by untouchability. See here the picture. You have seen Navaraj BK's picture here. It was the incident of this untouchability in our society. in Rukum it happened, his dead body is there and a lady is there giving water without touching. This is causes of untouchability. What causes untouchability in the society? Lack of awareness. Abuser believe it is entitlement, acceptable, justifiable and not reported. So they do. Not ready to accept the change, not follow the existing laws, lack respect to humanity and poor implementation of laws. What effects does it bring then? It increases frustration and humiliation. Social unity is disturbed. Discrimination is caused. Exploitation is increased. It stops so-called low-caste people to get facilities and services available in the society. It harms social and economic progress. It decreases the value of human. There is the chance of division or split in the society or conflict in the society. So, finally, the social prestige will be low and the pace of development is badly disturbed. You can add some more points from your side too. Pace of development can be disturbed. Now, do we have some measures to solve untouchability like we discussed regarding domestic violence? Finally, we are talking some of the measures. Strong laws are to be made and practiced. Existing laws are to be implemented. Awareness should be created. Our thinking should be changed. Reservation and other provision in the constitutions are to be implemented. Dalit Commission and its activities are to be strengthened. We should reduce poverty. Employment should be created and education and training must be there. Okay. We have come to the end of today's class. I believe you might have got some ideas on domestic violence and untouchability. Keep